So, did I ever tell you guys that story about how I met SRK and I didn't even know who the guy was? Now, for my Indian guys out there, Shahrukh Khan, he doesn't need an introduction. But for the rest of you guys, think Tom Cruise, except 10 times bigger. I'm talking metaphorically, not physically, but not nearly as weird. Seriously, SRK, you ain't gonna see him jumping on a couch.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way before?
In any case, the story goes like this. It was 2006. I was in India with my MBA class at the University of Texas. There are about 25 of us students, and we were staying at the cricket club in downtown Mumbai, right next to the Queen's Necklace. Our morning event had been canceled. About half the people went back to bed because we were still jet lagged. And it was at this point that Christina, our teacher's assistant, who was a Mumbai native with apparently some connections, she said, you know what? There's a Bollywood shoot going on, and I can get us backstage. Next thing I know, my small group's in this backlot area, and we're waiting for someone to come show us around. Now, we're standing back there for about 10 minutes. Out of nowhere comes this confident Indian dude who I'd never seen before, but just started talking to us. He had almost no accent and was super friendly. And to be honest, gents, I probably wouldn't have remembered this conversation or thought anything of it, except I noticed something. Now, at this point, I was only a couple years out of the United States Marine Corps. One of the things they teach us, situational awareness. And I noticed our Indian guides, my professor, Raj, and my TA, Christina, at this point, they are freaking out. So yeah, I guess it was pretty obvious we were meeting an Indian celebrity, but I didn't know who this guy was, and I don't think any of the other Americans I was with really understood the gravity of the situation. Now, for the rest of the trip, this interaction came up multiple times. SRK, SRK. That's why I actually remembered it, even though I had no idea who the guy was, and I didn't think much of the interaction. Until fast forward 5 years to the year 2011. I'm writing an article on international style icons. And in my article, I want to include one of the most populous countries in the world, India. So I'm going through seeing who are the international style icons. And there it was, laid right before me. SRK, Shahrukh Khan. That name sounds familiar. I reached out to my friend Raj, and sure enough, that was the humble, friendly, and incredibly nice gentleman we met backstage in 2006. So why am I telling you all this? Because the first tip I want to share with you, gents, is if you want to step up your style, learn from international style icons. The reality is here in the United States, we've got actually a pretty good selection of style icons. But we're a fraction of the world's population, and if you're willing to go look at the rest of the world, where you've got different climates, you've got different skin tones, all of a sudden you can bring in a wide range of amazing outfits and find inspiration that's going to take your style to the next level. Now, personally, I fit a lot of the stereotypes of a typical American. I drive a full-size pickup truck everywhere. I buy in bulk at Sam's and Costco. When it comes to meals, I appreciate a 24-ounce steak served on a platter with a full baked potato and a side of vegetables. I like things big, maybe even supersized, except for my luggage. Tip number 2, gentlemen, choose the smallest bag you dare carry. Now, I'm hesitant to call myself a minimalist, but I 100% agree with that philosophy when it comes to packing. My general thoughts when it comes to a bag is if it's 1 to 3 nights, I'm going to go with a simple backpack. 2 to 4 nights, especially if I'm taking my workout gear, I'm going with a simple weekender. So if I'm taking a trip for a week, 4 to 10 nights, that's when I'm using my wheeled carry-on. And for me, the only time I'm checking luggage is if I'm traveling 10 plus nights or I'm traveling with my kids. When you're going through time zones, you got kids falling asleep that you're going to have to carry. It's nice when the bags just simply meet you at the destination. Now, you may be wondering, why choose the smallest bag you can? Well, in my experience in traveling with my wife, I find that the larger bag that we take, the more it seems to find its way into the bag, just in case. Now, as a bit of a prepper, I see her point with medicine and extra clothing for the kids, but unless you're heading out into the middle of nowhere, if you forget something, you can just pick it up at the destination. No, traveling with a smaller bag, it forces you to make trade-offs. Instead of bringing 3 pairs of shoes, you bring the 2 pairs of shoes or maybe even 1 pair that you absolutely need. Is the place you're staying at, do they have a laundry? I usually pack dark, interchangeable clothing that can easily be washed and dried. Hence, for a 7-day trip, I can get away with 4 sets of clothes. Now, speaking of bags, did you notice how great looking those bags were? That carry-on piece right there, absolutely beautiful. As you can see, I'm going through an airport. I absolutely love every time I travel being able to have a piece of luggage that is so functional yet stylish. And that weekender bag, just the right size to fit under my arm. I can throw it into the overhead, or if need be, it can even go down below next to my feet and I still have some leg room. And last but not least, let's talk about that beautiful backpack. Gentlemen, this is the 72-hour backpack from today's sponsor, Carl Friedrich. The 72-hour backpack is made of premium, chrome-free nubuck with vachetta leather detailing. It's got a spacious main compartment that opens up fully due to the front-loading design. And as the name implies, this backpack is large enough to pack for a full 3-day trip. It's practical, stylish, and there's no need to check in your luggage. Now, gents, I could talk all day about Carl Friedrich's vachetta leather, the detailing, the quality in their build and craftsmanship, but I have to say it's their 100-day trial guarantee to see if this bag, if this piece of luggage meets your expectations. And on top of that, they've got lifetime warranty and amazing customer service. I use this luggage and I can't recommend it enough. So check them out. Use that link in the description of today's video. Now, these next 2 tips, very practical. I like to go with performance clothing, can be washed and dried easily and doesn't pick up stains. And I'm going to recommend that you go with simple clothing combinations that usually have a collared shirt or a little bit more formal. Basically, you want to pack an interchangeable wardrobe that you can mix and match and you can dress up and you can dress down. So with the quick drying, the easy wash clothing, you want something that you can throw in. Let's say your shirt gets dirty, your stay is extended a bit. You want something that, worst case, you can wash in your sink and you can dry right there in the hotel room and it will still look decent and not smell bad. And with dressing clothing up, dressing it down, now before you pack, you should know what event you're going to go to, but you didn't expect all of a sudden to have that chance to go to that really fancy restaurant that has a bit of a dress code. You need to look nice. You've at least got a collared shirt. Perhaps you've even got a sports jacket or a blazer jacket that you didn't even expect to wear in country, but you wore on the airplane because going there, going from, you needed something to keep you warm. Point being, functionality and flexibility in your clothing gives you more options when you're out traveling. Now, this next tip may seem obvious, but it deserves mention. A lot of Americans, me included, have a disadvantage when traveling, and that is we only speak one language. And yes, I know English is widely spoken around the world, but if you're traveling as a monolinguist, it's not uncommon to end up in a place where you don't speak the local dialect. Well, one of the things you got to love about style is it is a universal language. And by that, I mean a well-dressed man in general will be treated well whenever he walks into a hotel, whether or not they speak the language or not. Now, of course, being well-dressed can also make you a target for pickpockets, but I know for me, I would rather just be on my guard and somewhat well-dressed than look like a hobo or a derelict and get harassed by the local police. Now, the next style tip I've learned traveling is to embrace local fashion. In fact, I have found that the highest value souvenirs and gifts I've ever purchased are the ones that are used by locals that are harder to find in my home country. Example, as many of you guys may notice, I am wearing an Aran sweater. Now, if you know your history, you know that Aran sweaters come from the Aran Islands, which are off the west coast of Ireland. Now, the traditional color is going to be an off-white, so this one's a little bit darker. These sweaters traditionally have very distinctive woven patterns on them, and the traditional ones still use a harsher wool that hasn't been treated and therefore is more water resistant. Now, Aran sweaters have only been around for 150 years. If you want a sweater that goes back to the 15th century, let's go to England and let's look at the gurney. Not only does it come in a darker color, but traditional gurneys you could actually wear either way. They don't really have a front, they don't have a back. And I know historically they were also very popular in France in the 15th to 16th century, but if you know your history, you know that it was the English selling the wool to the island of Guernsey and then selling them to France, and they had to get permission to do this. The point is, it's a functional garment that you could add to your wardrobe if you happen to be traveling over to the UK or even France and you see one. Now, what if you want something with an interesting pattern? Maybe look to a Fair Isle sweater, but what if you want something a lot softer and you want it from the other side of the world? Let's go over to South America. If you find yourself in Peru or any other part of South America with the mountains with alpacas, guess what? You're going to find tons of alpaca sweaters, probably at a good deal. If you happen to be there, why not grab one with some traditional colors and bring it into your wardrobe? On the flip side, hot weather. You're over in Cuba, maybe you're in parts of Mexico, and you see these shirts that guys are wearing, even at weddings, because they're a formal shirt, known as the guayabera. Gents, I'm telling you, if you happen to be in one of these places, just go in and get one made. You can get them custom made oftentimes locally, or just buy one off the rack because they're everywhere. You're going to get a much better deal down in areas where it's popular. You find one that fits you, maybe get a couple, bring them back. All of a sudden, you're going to be looking great those 3 summer days that you can wear it up in Toronto. Maybe you want something with a bit more color. You happen to be over in West Africa, check out the dashiki. Now, dashikis come in a wide range of different patterns, different colors. Of course, if you're local, talk to the people that are selling selling these things. They will be happy to get something to fit you, and they'll also make sure they're not selling you anything that has special meaning to certain people. Because let's address the elephant in the room, cultural appropriation. Now, honestly, I'm pretty conservative on this issue, and I don't care too much what any social justice warrior says. But I thought about the topic, and I came up with 3 rules if you want to wear something that doesn't come from your culture. First up, is the action of wearing it disrespectful? I really like what the philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah said. The key question in use of symbols or regalia associated with another identity group is not what are my rights of ownership, rather it's are my actions disrespectful. So if you're in Japan and you see that they're selling these hantens, and yes, it is a Japanese type of light jacket. It can be worn in place of like a cardigan sweater. They're often called men's kimono jackets, and you really don't see them outside of Japan. Could you wear something like this? I think you could, especially if you are wearing it out of respect. You're not making fun of the culture, and you just simply love anime. You love the look. You spend some time in Japan. Why not? The next rule, is this something that needs to be earned? In that case, you're not allowed to wear it. Example, striped unit ties over in England. You may be in a store, you really like the tie, but guess what? You have to have gone to a particular school to wear that tie. You have to have belonged to a particular military unit. An easier way to understand this is compare it to stolen valor. If you were to walk into a store and you find an old military fatigue jacket and it's got a Ranger tab on it, you can wear that, but if a Ranger sees it, he's going to tear that tab off you and kick your ass. Next up, does it have a religious, does it have a deep meaning? So let's look at a pair of espadrilles. No, there's no religious connotation here. Espadrilles, yes, they come out of Spain. They've got some local significance, but no, you can bring those home and wear them no problem. A rosary, on the other hand, you may think it makes for a great necklace, but for certain people, especially those that are Catholic, it's a little bit too much. That has deep religious significance. And again, you could try to wear it, but I do like to be sensitive to other people's feelings to a point. I mean, am I wrong on this? If you're Scottish and there's some guy from Mexico that comes to Scotland and he just loves your culture, he wants to get married in a kilt and he just wants to, get all dressed up. And I'm sure most of the locals would love the fact that somebody on the other side of the world wants to be a part of what they've got. So yeah, to pull off the Panama hat, you don't have to be from Panama. If you happen to get down to that part of the country, Dominican Republic, you're going to be able to find great hats, some cigars, bring them in. Anyone, if you disagree with me or you agree, let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. All right, gents, so what video to watch next? Boom, I got you covered with this video right here. Seriously, click the video, check it out. You're going to make me hold this up? Come on, guys. Click, boom, right there. Go check it out. Solid video right there.